So I know yesterday we talked about Bill Clinton being able to win in the 1992 election because of the economic downturn, but we're going to talk about his presidency up into 2001, and I'm going to skip through all this stuff that we did last time. So one of the biggest things that he comes into office is that he wants to fix stuff in the military. One of the biggest things in the military is that soldiers used to get dishonorably discharged if they were found out to have same sex relationships. And so we know that a lot of them in World War II were discharged in San Francisco. We also see that he wanted to create a policy that at least protected people who had same sex relations. And so he wasn't able to get much through Congress because of a group of people who created the Republicans, the Contract with America, that they were going to stand against Clinton's liberal policies. And we see that the policy he's able to get out is don't ask, don't tell. That people in the military are not going to be asked about their sexual orientation, and they shouldn't be able to tell about it. This is seen as progressive, and we know that this it isn't law anymore because under the Obama administration, we see that it does not matter your orientation in the military. You will not be beaten. You will not be asked. It will not harm you. One of the biggest things under Hillary Clinton and being First Lady is that she wanted to do universal health care. And sorry, that was not an earthquake. I just kicked the stand. And he left his wife in charge of this. And we're going to see that many people felt that she wasn't qualified this. But you have to understand, Hillary Rodham Clinton has a law degree. Hillary Rodham Clinton had been part of prestigious law firms. And she had done stuff in Arkansas as First Lady of Arkansas as well. It didn't work out, a lot of it because of the economic downturn. People were saying that we're going to have to tax more to provide this. And eventually, under the Obama administration, we get Obamacare, which a lot of it had the precursors in Hillary Clinton's health care. We have a welfare reform bill at this time that if you're on welfare, that there is testing done, and there's certain requirements to be able to get that welfare. Okay, one of the big things that is going to allow for an economic boom in the Clinton administration is we globalize at this time. Our federal will balance its budget because the economy is growing. It's able to have a larger tax base. We get lower inflation, lower unemployment. A lot of that stemmed from the dot-com boom. In 2000, the internet takes off. And the government is able to tax this, and we're seeing that people are getting jobs. This is leading to a lot more money in the economy. Another thing that encourages our global economy is the North Atlantic Free Trade Agreement between the United States and Canada. We're going to see that this takes away those tariffs and allows for free trade. The WTO is going to start protesting the pollution that America has, and a lot of the waste that is being dropped into the oceans. They have a big conference in Seattle, and they're dressed up like sea life, and they're just protesting the pollution that's happening. We have the China trade bill at this time that we're going to open our trade with China. One of the biggest issues in the Clinton administration deals with the conflict in Yugoslavia. The Serbians are being ethnically cleansed, and ethnic cleansing they're being removed. And so the U.S. Sends in troops, NATO, against what's going on in Serbia with the ethnic cleansing. And we see just this huge mess with groups that are going on there, and Slobodan Milosevic. Okay. Other issues, we have issues in Somalia, and this deals with the diamonds. If you've ever seen Black Hawk Down, a lot of that has to go with our troops going in there to protect the citizens. The U.S. starts to recognize Northern Ireland and its attempts for peace from Ireland. Same thing in Palestine and Vietnam, that the U.S. goes in and we're acknowledging those areas trying to get peace. Like, looking at home, there is a lot of domestic violence going on at home. One of the first things is that there was a World Trade bombing. Again, this was foreign terrorism. They knew a bomber. They parked a van within the World Trade Center and it exploded. We see that we're also having a big backlash from the civil rights movements of people who are of the Aryan nationalist. And we are seeing very extreme groups take hold. We see people in Idaho encouraging white nationalism. We see very religious groups like the Branch Davidians in Waco amass so many weapons and actually have a standoff with the federal government, and they burn the place. In Oklahoma City, we see Timothy McVeigh, a guy who had been in prison before, a guy who had been stopped and not detained when he had all of the stuff to be able to build weapons, just able to go, and he parks an explosive van outside of the Oklahoma City Federal Murrow building and blows it up. And I know here's the Federal Murrow building here, but one of the things in that movie, is that in the Federal Murrow building in Oklahoma City, there was a daycare. And so that's what this firefighter is taking a kid out of the daycare, because there's people at work. And a lot of this signals that we need to have some gun control. But the big event that signaled that there needed to be gun control was the Columbine shooting. And it sent shockwaves throughout the nation that there needed to be greater gun control laws. And y'all saw that in the Reagan administration when he was assassinated, that one, the Brady bill, okay? And so the whole push for greater gun control, it happens in the 80s and the 90s. So many of y'all had this on your interview about the impeachment, and you have to understand that the impeachment of Bill Clinton actually goes back to an investigation on Whitewater. Whitewater was a scandal of the Clintons, that they had purchased some real estate and they were trying to sell it, and he used some of it to fund his campaign. And that was a violation of one of the campaign contributions. And so Kenneth Starr was put in to investigate this. And as he is investigating the Whitewater scandal, things come about Clinton's history in Arkansas, that he had affairs and he was abusing his power. And one of the incidents was with Paula Jones. And as they're going through the Whitewater scandal, Kenneth Starr brings up Paula Jones and Monica Lewinsky to talk about his character, that this is a guy who has done stuff that is unbecoming of a president. What his problem was is he's not getting impeached because of the affair, but he's getting impeached because he lied about the affair on stand. So his impeachment charges is perjury and obstruction of justice. The Senate had their trial and they felt that this was not enough to remove him from office, even though he lied. And the impact is that this is the second time we see a president attempting to be impeached. We saw that with the Johnson one in Reconstruction. Nixon, peace out, was done, didn't have the process. And Clinton was the second one. Okay, this next election is really big. It's the 2000 election, and this is before we have electronic voting. And so one of the big issues is that Al Gore won the popular vote. Most of the people voted for him. But when it goes to the Electoral College can determine. And there was issues in Florida. Florida was having issues with its ballot. And let me show you the ballot down here. It is called a butterfly ballot. And what happens, just imagine your Scantron. Y'all know how y'all like bubble in your answers? Instead of bubbling your answers, you had to poke a hole through that. And looking here, if you voted for Bush, you had to poke that hole. If you're voting for Pat Buchanan, you have to poke that hole. If you're voting for Al Gore, you have to poke that hole. Well, I know there's arrows and everything. But many Democrats thought because he's listed second here, they went to that one. And so we're seeing that there was a lot of confusion because of the butterfly ballot. And so this basically went to that the media was saying Bush won, Clinton, Gore won, Bush won. And so before the polls were actually closed, it was too close to call. Whoever got the electoral votes of Florida would win the election. So a month of controversy went through because people are trying to recount the votes. So you see the guy here with the butterfly ballot, he's trying to figure out where are the other votes because they're missing. And we are going to see that you have to understand that it goes to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will ask the state officials of Florida to be able to determine the election. And you have to understand who is the governor of Florida at this time. It's a guy named Jeb Bush, and he has appointed people to the electoral counts, and we're going to see that Florida will go to Bush. And we see that Bush wins the election, but this is, oh gosh, I'm sorry guys, I'm not going to re-record this. We see that Gore wins 48.4% of the electoral vote. Bush only had 47.9%, but when that electoral college goes, Bush wins. Okay,